And we're back with episode 19. Hello, everybody.
Episode 19, and we're in. This time, the main topic is going to be underground advertising and when advertising goes wrong. Basically, we're going to be talking about the most difficult things to advertise and the laws and restrictions that often come into play, and a few goofy examples we've got that will illustrate the point of why not everything should be advertised in such a way.
I was also very happy because we discussed the notes a little bit. We did not open up all the cards, but we discussed the notes of what are we going to be talking about. And there's not a lot of overlap today, which is actually very interesting. That means we're going to both learn a little bit about each other's parts and discoveries.
But also, full disclosure, we're taking this one a bit easier.
Fair. This is also opening of season 2.
Yeah.
So that's great. A little bit of a celebration time.
That said, though, as usual, we're going to cover the news first. Whatever weird little bits we found interesting or entertaining or in our wheelhouse.
The first one is probably going to be about DeepSeek. That's a big drama now.
We both got that one. Where do we even start with that? I think the entire world will, by the time this goes out, know about DeepSeek and the entire drama around it being a bit more efficient than OpenAI's models and being cheaper to produce, which is, sending the Silicon Valley world into a tailspin. But there's some interesting points that people are sometimes missing out and some hilarious things about it. For example, Sam Altman left a comment on Reddit.
Yeah, what was it?
So basically, OpenAI, somebody tweeted, Sam Altman admits they will not be leading the AI race like before because of DeepSeek. And Sam Altman's comment was essentially, it's a very good model. We will produce better models, but we will maintain less of a lead than we did in previous years.
Wow.
So that's kind of a strange admission when you're like marketing yourself as the AI guys to be like, oh, this model suddenly got us by with our pants now.
I've seen as well, he left a tweet that was basically a Napoleon's quote. And someone said, just make better products, bro. He's like, the man has to be very thoughtful about his next steps, and some anime girl avatar is like, just make better products, bro.
In general, OpenAI has been this sponging up investor money for this, going to like the biggest companies in the world, being and then selling their AI model as an API to all these companies, and then suddenly somebody comes along and says, hey, it doesn't have to burn all of the water on Earth to run. And possibly you can train it with the cheapest NVIDIA chips. And also possibly we've got this running for free.
There was a very interesting discussion that these guys asked, like OpenAI asked for donations because it was a nonprofit. They asked for 600 million, right? And then there's a company that indeed used cheaper chips, or let's say less powerful.
Yeah.
It was a side project for some sort of VC investment firm, and they spent 5 mil training exactly the same, like even better capabilities of a model. And now OpenAI as well is claiming, like, hey, yeah, you're maybe training the DeepSeek based on our model, but that like OpenAI, didn't you just scrape the whole internet in the world to make your model? Who's going to sue you?
Well, it's bad when it happens to us.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, it reminds me of that Simpsons episode where like Homer starts setting up a pirated movie, a cinema in his home. And he has like people coming over, but then he makes a movie and gets really upset other people pirating it.
Yeah,
this is basically OpenAI doing the same thing.
It's like, oh no, they're stealing from us. Yeah, did you just scrape the whole internet? Hello, our data is, like they publicly admitted, is trained on everything that is on Google from 2024. Great.
Not just publicly admitted. Sam Altman was going, we're going to have to start rethinking the entire model of copyright to accommodate AI.
Yeah.
These tweets that he was sending out. And then this happens and he's suddenly like, hey, no fair.
Oh my God. I love like these salty Silicon Valley bros. Yeah, but it's, I agree. I think that there's also actually another model that was released by China. I think it was called the
QN.
It's a Huan Yuan 3D. So it's a model that basically generates the 3D meshes and textures. So you have Blender. Blender is a software that allows you to do like all kind of 3D character visualizations for games. And then you have this model that is like a replacement. So we just tell it, I want a character of 3D model, blah, blah, blah. And that's it.
I thought you were talking about the one that Alibaba came up with.
Oh yeah, I've seen some news, but I haven't read. What is it about?
I haven't tested it, nor has somebody I really, really trust. But the word around the internet is that it's actually even better than DeepSeek in certain measures.
I wouldn't be amazed.
I mean, he's got all the money God has to offer.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen one last thing about coming from a lawyer. So as a guy, he's like, I highly encourage folks to seriously read the privacy policy of DeepSeek. For example, hidden within the list of ethical and technical information collected is keystroke pattern rhythms. Keystroke logging involves the tracking of every interaction you made with the button on your keyboard. So for example, I know that some people, they have it as a tab open in their Chrome. And apparently that while it's open, it gathers all your keystrokes. And some people just use like an open tab. I personally have applications on my PC for OpenAI. If it's on Mac or if it's my Windows, I have a ChatGPT installed on my basically device. So therefore, DeepSeek also collects your IP address, email address, cookies, payment information, every interaction with its chat tool. And also it assigns you a device specific user ID. So meaning that you're being tracked across multiple devices. So that means if I go on my phone, which I have installed as well, ChatGPT on my phone, it also knows. So this is something that legally people are discussing and companies are advising against using it. But as you said before that, it's like, oh no, they're sending stuff to China. Yeah, welcome to the party. My Roomba that vacuums my apartment basically does the same thing. And I have this small tool. It's called Raspberry Pi. Have you heard of Raspberry Pi?
I know what a Raspberry Pi is.
So a Raspberry Pi computer, and I am running, it's called a Pi hole. What a Pi hole does, it basically blocks packages. And I can just block a bunch of packages on it. And what does it mean? It means that my Roomba stops working if I block packages that are being sent to China. So I'm like, okay, this is a weird suspicious package. And then I'm like, block that's it. My vacuum doesn't work. So what did we learn? You need to sell your info to China if you want your Roomba to clean your house.
Yeah. There was something similar about the TVs that are made in China. They usually have some sort of relay network for getting data and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but I watch most of my TV on my computer, which is doing that anyway.
That's true. But though, I do block a lot of stuff as well from Skype. Apparently, I uninstalled Skype from my Windows device, but it still sends stuff. Skype still sends stuff. I don't have Skype, but I see in my blocking list, like Skype has been blocked. I'm like, where do I have Skype? So weird.
The most shocking part of that is that you had Skype.
It comes pre-installed. Microsoft has a deal probably with them. The other more piece of news I have you heard of a banana pass?
Yeah, but go ahead.
So the banana pass was an Australian idea. It comes from Australia. What they did, the company that is called Tinkerbell has launched the Banana Gym Pass. Basically, they call it an appealing initiative to get Aussies active. So the unique campaign lets gym goers use their banana as their entry to participate at the gyms, promoting both healthy and eating and exercise and stuff like that. So basically, they are allowing people with the banana to enter gyms in Australia as a wide, nationwide multi-channel campaign to basically promote the nutrition or nutritional benefits of bananas. As like a perfect post-workout fruit.
That it is, but this is just to encourage people to go to the gym.
Yeah, pretty much. They came up with this campaign. I read about it many years ago, but every year they do it and they just announce this. It's a banana pass. So with the banana, that's your kind of entry tickets into a gym.
That's pretty cool.
I think that's pretty nice as well.
It's quirky and fun. And I love a good fruit.
That's true. And also, if it's a free ticket to your gym, come on.
Okay. We've got some more tech news.
Go ahead.
The Apple gave up on its AR glasses project.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I read about that like maybe a month ago that they're discontinuing due to falling sales and like lack of interest. And they basically, the developers cannot develop within the Apple ecosystem because it's not popular. It's not open source. No one knows what to do. So the application pool is empty. And the competitor, which is Google, I think has released their AR glasses that will allow developers to develop anything for the VR store or something like that.
Are they trying Google Glass again?
I think so.
Am I insane?
Yeah, but like VR glasses, but it's going to be again open source. It's basically you can put them together. I think that's what I read. And there you can you can develop anything and install any kind of application on it as you want. Just like on an Android phone, you can install anything you want. The same way would be with VR glasses from Google.
But I mean, some companies are diving ahead with it, but I think the open source route is pretty interesting. That might actually save this project. But Apple can never do open source.
That's true.
Against their business model.
Yeah, they lock you in. That's very common for them.
So the cancellation also means Apple is falling further behind the competition. This is from a Verge article. CES 2025 was playground for all sorts of smart glasses, and Google recently entered the fray with Android XR. That's the one you were talking about.
Yep.
And one of the issues with this entire project is it also puts the Vision Pro under like a spotlight. People are like, "Is this going to be discontinued?" Because again, that was $3,500 at last check.
Something like that. It's ridiculous. But I'm pretty sure they're going to unplug it and then no one's going to get any support for it as well. And they're just going to die out. It's going to be a dead tech. Talking about dead tech, you just reminded me. I have Logitech headphones.
Yeah.
They're okay. Not the best headphones like earbuds I ever had. I messaged support once and I said, "Hey guys, I have an issue with it. So it stopped charging. Like basically the case stopped charging. Headphones are fine, but the case sucks." And I said, "What should I do?" And they said, "Oh, sorry, your warranty is, you're out of warranty." I'm like, where did you get that? I was like, "Oh, it was a present." Like, "Oh, well, sorry, you're out of warranty." I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" It's like, "Can anyone repair?" I started calling in Amsterdam, a bunch of places, say, "Hey, can you repair my Logitech earbuds?" They're like, "No, it's too expensive to repair unless it's AirPods or something like that." I'm like, "Okay, what should I do?" He's like, "I don't know, just throw them away." I messaged the support again. I'm like, "Hey, no one can fix it. You don't have any, is there like an European right to repair location I can go to? You don't want to replace it for me?" He's like, "No, I can give you a discount for the next product." I'm like, "No, these are brand new headphones. They just don't charge. What to do?" He's like, "Well, you don't have warranty." I'm like, "Just tell me what to do, dude. Like, do I throw them away? It's like, it's brand new, just doesn't charge. Do I throw it away?" He's like, "I cannot answer that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" So the support on Logitech couldn't answer if I should throw away a pair of new defected, obviously, earbuds. And that was where I got completely stuck and pissed. This is the first time in my life where I'm like, I have a brand new thing. It doesn't work. No one wants to repair it. And I'm like, do I throw it away? Because again, it's brand new. It's in a box. Ridiculous. And it's just on my shelf. I do nothing with it. I'm waiting for the maybe right to repair in the European Union to pop up and I can go to a store maybe and repair very nice, new, well-working, I have a second pair, the same ones, well-working headphones.
If one company could come up with headphones that were just free to repair, they would just dominate the market, I think.
What was that company? The One Phone or something?
Yeah, the One Phone, yeah.
Yeah, these guys, I think you can just replace parts and you can just open the battery, the back.
Yeah, they use the block system, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is the one I really like.
Yeah, I should invest in something like that.
Okay, what's your next piece of news?
That was almost it, but I also have a bit of news about Sam Altman's hyping up the Stargate initiative. You know about this?
Stargate? Isn't something from Elon Musk, maybe?
No. You're thinking of Starlink.
Okay, tell me.
I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here because these goddamn nerds. They have to name everything after sci-fi series. Like Elon Musk naming his AI Grok after a old sci-fi novel. And There's some other company released like the Arrakis model.
Nerds.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't say much, but I'm not that cheap, you know? It feels like pandering, right? But anyway, the Stargate initiative was like a $500 million $500 billion commitment.
Jesus.
So, yeah, to build OpenAI's data center empire. This was with backing from SoftBank. And it's going to be approved by Donald Trump. This ties into our earlier talk about AI. They're just diving head deep into it. We're not going to make it more efficient. We're just going to throw more money at it.
So yeah, and just like evaporate all the water, the seawater, just to make this one small kid's AI request work.
But if it materializes, Stargate could effectively be the largest private computing infrastructure project in history. That's me reading from The Verge again.
Of course it will be.
It's just this gigantic network of computers and computer chips and CPUs and just everything you need to run AI. But this feels like that moment where the AI arms race is turning into like a Cold War situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're trying to be like, this is the space race from the 1960s. But the difference here is this is none of this will be publicly owned.
Yeah, unfortunately,
it's just a subsidy for like private hands like Sam Altman's to make a massive payout to themselves, and none of the resulting tech will be owned by any of the public in the US.
I feel that open source is still going to beat anything like that. I'm pretty sure there's going to be an underground market somewhere as well. That's actually talking about underground market. Singapore have seen increase in NVIDIA chips, like imports, 15%. So 15% increase in NVIDIA chips that are not allowed to be sold in China, but like Singapore doesn't need that, but they were reselling it back to China. And then China now released an an open source AI to the world. So I feel like that's going to still happen until a new Chinese side gig comes out and says, you know what? We don't need 600 million. We did it as in 2 months for 5 mil. So I understand where it comes from, but there's always going to be open source that is going to be better.
Yeah, this is just a Silicon Valley problem where they just cannot see anything that doesn't incur massive amounts of funding, because they're usually money people that and they understand is the more money you throw at something, the better it's going to be. And at some point, I'm not saying money doesn't help. It really, really helps. But at a certain point, you just end up creating a bureaucracy that drains money rather than a company that provides a product.
I mean, welcome to capitalism, I guess.
That's just the MO for venture capitalists. Yeah, I know. But asking Sam Altman to do anything different is asking a hammer not to see something as a nail.
Yeah, talking about that, there was the World Economic Forum again presentation in the European Union, I think, and what they did, they presented a slide that said Gen Z will own nothing and be happy. So I called this part of the news how the Gen Z is doomed by owning nothing, but will pay forever. So basically, this is what I thought about. It's called the end of ownership. So Gen Z is entering kind of adulthood where they're dealing with real world situations, and ownership is kind of obsolete. So instead of buying things right now, everyone is turning it into like subscription based model. Like movies, obviously, music, software. I remember someone told me, maybe it was you actually, that Adobe, you could download Adobe before you buy like a CD, or like I own Adobe, whatever, Premiere or something. Or music, you buy a CD or a vinyl or a cassette. For movies, you would buy the VCR cassettes or a DVD. And now I thought about it. It's like, imagine you want to leave something as a heritage.
This is a pet peeve of mine. I keep talking about this in the streaming era. It's so annoying that like you're actually beholden to somebody else owning your DVD collection. Imagine if somebody could just come in and take away your DVDs.
Yeah,
that's what it's like.
Absolutely. And I thought about it. I'm like, imagine you want to leave your kids or grandkids, like some heritage in terms of music. Say, hey, I was collecting, this Spotify playlist, and then Spotify went bankrupt and the servers collapsed, and then you have nothing. Like, is the now, giving something to like, to your, let's say kids is going to be a URL. Look, this is your father's YouTube URL playlist that he collected.
This is his prized crypto cache.
Yeah.
The hard drive.
Oh, sorry. YouTube crashed. You cannot access this anymore. So you'll never watch a single movie again. So, and that you paid for. That's the ridiculous part. So this actually started scaring me. Like I thought about it. I'm like, so I cannot like collect music. I mean, I have vinyls at home, but I don't listen to it every day. And Spotify is so convenient, but you don't own it. The same with movies. So that's where the World Economic Forum as well is leaning towards too, that, hey, you will have absolutely nothing. No Spotify, no Netflix, no Amazon Prime, no YouTube Premium. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. So
it's also that these companies are so volatile. Streaming services come and go all the freaking time.
Yeah.
So many of them just fall apart. And then you're like, okay, what was I paying for? They weren't a sustainable model.
Some of the examples were that Amazon was selling ebooks for the Kindles. And at some point, there was a book that got into a lot of controversy. So everyone who bought a book from Amazon was deleted from everyone's Kindle.
Oh, yeah.
So then you're like, okay, I paid for it and it disappeared. Where is it? And they did not return it. They did not return the money. They did not return the book just because Amazon as a company decided that this is too controversial or something. So yeah, this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Subscriptions are already they're such a nasty way to do business because then you're locked in. I might sign up for a thing just for like one feature, you know? I wanted to use it for a weekend, something.
That's true.
But then like, for example, I want to like re-edit something on Photoshop. Do I have to re-sign up?
Yeah, you have to. And now it costs like 50 euros a month. It's like, I want to edit this one thing and I'm going to use it for like, as you said, like 1 hour maybe. But I know that's ridiculous. Now, two of the ridiculous and just nasty, in my opinion, subscription models is Mercedes-Benz about their heating of the chair or whatever. So you like basically you own a car that has a functionality, but you have to pay a subscription on a monthly basis during winter times if you want a heated seat.
Oh yeah.
What? You kidding? So I have the thing, but I cannot use it, even though I bought a car that I own, but I need to subscribe to the car I own.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. The other one is the big drama now unfolding with the printers.
Yeah.
So HP printers, like, oh, I bought a printer, I have ink, but I did not subscribe to use a printer that I have ink and I bought it. That's like just sucking out money out of people. So I think that's the one that is just, it just enrages me.
Yeah. Everything became as crappy as printers now to subscriptions. And this is just a general pet peeve I've always had, you know, not to repeat myself, but like these things get worse. That's you sign up for a subscription service and then they suddenly like, we're going to charge you more, but you can remain on this tier and be sort of downgraded and you can have these features will be taken away unless you sign up for this bigger model. Or we're going to offer something for like a half of the service on a semi-freemium model where you have to watch ads but also pay $4 and it's like complicated.
That's Netflix. Netflix did that now.
I mean, you can also call all of this me hating on Netflix, but
I started hating on Netflix actually because as soon as they said, hey, you can pay and still get ads, I'm like, well, so I'm paying and you get like €5 for every time I watch an ad, and while watching a movie, I still have to see 10 ads. So you kind of get 10 times more than I'm paying for it. So it's, I don't know. I feel it's unfair.
The amount of energy they put into making sure you don't share your account
That's true.
The only reason I kept my account active for as long as I did, like a year ago, was because friends of mine in like other countries were using it. And I was like, I'll let them have it. It's a neat little thing that I occasionally sometimes use, but then my friends use a lot more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
So I was literally just running it on charity because of that feature that they hate now.
Yeah. The other one was from the World Economic Forum is buy now, pay later trap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That is a big. So 43% of Gen Zers missed a buy now or pay later, which is in abbreviations BNPL payments in 2021. 80% of users who use the buy now, pay later once are likely to use it repeatedly, leading to continuous financial obligation. And also, these type of services often market themselves as interest-free, but with hidden fees and financial consequences that add up, and then they basically sell it to like a collector who's going to be hunting you down.
Yeah.
So it's insane as well.
If people aren't aware of buy now, pay later schemes, there's an amazing talk that Lena Khan of the FTC gave. And one of the only effective lawmakers in the US in the past decade, I think. Possibly the most like shock to the system kind of person who was so effective, in fact, that billionaires used to go on CNN and ask for her to be removed. Yeah. So she talked about this, that they were going to make it much more easier for you to cancel subscriptions because all of these loopholes they create to make it harder and harder for you to end your subscriptions and to like get stuck in buy now, pay later schemes or sign up for a thing for like a free trial, but then get stuck with it, due to all of these sort of like legalistic mazes that they create.
For example, for Promoguy, I already started to see that when we subscribe to something that I have to make sure, because we have around like 30 subscriptions to things. And when I look at the bank statements from our accountant and I can see that, hey, like you were overcharged more euros because someone clicked a button. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Someone from our team clicked a button and we paid 20 euros extra. I'm like, that's okay for something. Apparently we need it. But sometimes they ramp up the price and I have no idea why. And I have no idea if the tool is being like, used more, were we promoted, were we demoted? Is it like a change of package?
These are such fluid contracts. The prices constantly change. The terms constantly change.
That's true. Oh, this is 2025. Let us show you that now we cost more and you get less. You can cancel if you want.
It's like every company has become a landlord,
Jesus, that's also true.
They just like give you a piece of a thing that you need, but then just keep jacking around the prices and making sure you're like constantly stuck with them.
You know what pisses me off on this, like on these subscription models and pay now or like buy now, pay later, is that the government is actually like not supporting it, like not securing us in any way. For example, hello, you have we are America and we don't like that TikTok is here. You know what we're gonna do? Delete 4,000 videos you have produced on this channel, and then you cannot download it, you cannot own it, and TikTok is deleted. So, you spend, or imagine you're a client, imagine YouTube goes away. Imagine, I don't know, USA bans YouTube, and you're a big company that drives 90% of all your business through YouTube.
Yeah.
And then your YouTube gets completely deleted and all your videos, and you have nowhere to go because that was a huge monopoly. So I hate the fact that entire social media is owned by someone, that the governments don't secure that. The right to repair in Europe, that's another thing that I'm waiting for, just because companies, they just, we discontinued supporting this thing. Like, it's 2 years old, man. I haven't used this thing. It's still working, but I cannot basically use it anymore because you discontinued support. It's like, hello, your vacuum cleaner is 2 months old and we're discontinuing support for this. What? So this is garbage. I hate that. And even the major platforms, I mean, like they can go away. Spotify, it just hit me not so long ago that I don't own a single song that I like.
Yeah.
I don't have it downloaded. I have it on Spotify. And I cannot even like.
I don't even see any of these music streaming platforms as a way to support artists. We've talked about this at length previously. I just like, if somebody whose music I like shows up to town, I just go to their show. I think that's the best way to support anyone. But we gotta return to a old model. There was this time I watched this interview from must be almost 15 years old at this point. The drummer Derek Roddy was talking about music streaming, even back then, where somebody asked him what do you do, in this sort of situation. He's like, well, maybe the entire music industry was a bubble, as an industry, it might have been a bubble. These companies came along and then suddenly somebody offered a more convenient way to get the music, and then it pays musicians nothing. So we have to go back to turning music into a communal service, something you do in person or something you do with a group of people, or something you pay direct money to the musician, through Bandcamp or something like that. So that to me was they've made it so convenient and so cheap that it's actually eating itself.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's something that will help. And from subscription-based perspective, to close the topic, you just have to be aware of the subscription models.
Yeah.
You should not fall into a trap of buy now, pay later. And maybe you need to push some sort of government or whatever to fix this somehow, because the Logitech headphones I have, that pissed me so much. I'm like, they're new, I cannot do anything with it, and then if I listen to music, I cannot leave it as a heritage to someone if I die.
That's going to get much worse especially with companies based in the US.
Yes,
because they're slashing regulations on consumer protection left, right, and center.
Screwed. They're so screwed.
So you're gonna have to research which company can produce stuff a lot more.
You own nothing and be happy. Good luck. Do we switch to the main topic of underground ads and how to advertise when the rules are against you?
Yeah, we should. You have a definition or something?
Yes. So it's an open definition, but basically,
just before you start, I was having so much trouble researching this because every time I'd look for the underground ads, half of the links would be about the underground railway system and putting ads there.
Really?
So that's just a testament to how destroyed Google is at this point.
So the AI response is this from a Reddit guy who posted it 17 years ago. Yeah.
Go ahead.
For me, this as well, to tell you, when I started researching this topic, I had two parts. The first part, I was like, I know a lot of online situation. So I know about the online situation, but then I started thinking how maybe real world underground advertising works, by which means, and the definition that therefore is a little bit broad.
Yeah.
So we have to define what is underground, because literally it can be a subway ad.
Yeah.
Or it can be something in secrecy. So what is the meaning of this? It is about circumventing legal restrictions. Is it advertising in an unconventional space? Is it targeting a specific niche audience? Or is it a combination of all of these things? So we have to distinguish it from maybe guerrilla marketing, which is, more aggressive or playful, or is it attention grabbing ads? Is it something that you play the system, the legality of it? Is the underground advertising often has more rebellious as well view on it?
Yeah, my understanding was that it's about not necessarily breaking the rules, but bending them to do some advertising. Not necessarily illegal, but a product that would otherwise be marketed in a way that would be deemed illegal.
So borderline.
Yeah, just a bit borderline.
Can give you an example? I've seen ads for smart cars.
Yeah.
And there was a girl looking at you from the ad and said, "This is how it feels when you're inside."
God damn.
They got into a lot of trouble.
Impressive.
Yes. And they got into a lot of trouble. Is that this your underground, unconventional? Yeah, they have to take it down because people were just bashing the hell out of them. But basically it's is the advertising of banned products, for example, remember back in the 60s, remember, we were not alive, but back in the 60s, you could advertise like cocaine on TV, right? And you can advertise cigarettes from tooth pain. So that was okay. Now it's not okay, right? So that basically advertising of like specific products like tobacco, alcohol in some areas. The other unconventional part is like you can advertise things by graffiti, right? So you can paint on walls, which is illegal, but you can still do it if you're not caught. Or put stickers. You also in Amsterdam, you see there's a lot of like stickers on poles and people promote that. I don't know who's looking at that though.
Yeah, that's very underground and that's usually not even corporate advertising. It's very, I don't know, promoting like a group of anarchists or something like that.
It's called unconventional. So you have other types of underground, which is word of mouth, right? So creating a buzz through like influencers or events or social media or like only specific people are allowed to be in places, or just using like irony, for example, or humor or shock tactics like guerrilla marketing. So that can be seen as an underground way because it's not traditional, it's not just being for Facebook.
I have a bunch of examples of that going wrong.
Yeah, cool. So I kind of split it up this way. That's we touch upon many different examples, and the last one actually is the niche targeting, right? So for example, you advertise through like Telegram, which is very underground, right? Social media channel, most trackable, traceable, everyone's anonymous, or like metaverse, I don't know. Or how they used to advertise things back in the days is through books, right? So you can promote like, I don't know, a book club or something. So those are the ways. And the last part was like ethical considerations, right? So it's crucial that you have to discuss that a girl looking at the camera and saying it feels good to be inside maybe is not the best way ethically to be next to like support the kids and then the war in Gaza or something. And you're squished in between of those ads with yours.
That's just the social media experience.
Yeah, so that's where you have to consider your ethical considerations when you do advertising or underground advertising.
In terms of underground advertising, it can backfire really badly in multiple ways. So one of my favorites was this ad. Well, not my favorites. It's literally just a horrifying thing that they did, and I don't know how anyone actually greenlit this, but there was an ad for like a strange sort of edgy game, like a game of like Would You Rather.
Okay.
And it was advertised with this. It was like, would you rather punch Chris Brown or slap Rihanna?
Why would you do that? No, but that's just lame.
Yeah, it was just a attempt to be really, really edgy, and it was atrocious. And people were rightfully like, dude.
What kind of ad was it? By who?
It was like an ad for a game that just asked you a lot of would you rather situations.
So kind of application or something? Do you know?
Yeah, it was an online game, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Another example of this is like online gambling sites go insane these days.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things about it, the explosion of underground advertising is that we were discussing earlier, is that on the internet, there's very few rules, unlike traditional media. So on radio, they have a huge set of trade commission, telecommunications commission guidelines, and a huge set of advertising guidelines and best practices that they abide by. And those have come after a long time. They weren't always there. So like gambling is not something you can promote on TV or radio usually in most countries, right? But online gambling sites go insane. Like I have this one example, which is that there's an online gambling site that said, pay for your wife's cancer treatment.
Whoa, that's very ethical.
Gambling.
Oh my God.
The internet is just slathered with examples of these kinds of insane things because they don't have these rules. And some of it is just brain rot to the extent, to the utmost extent.
Man, it's like this is your, like your ethics and your moral compass has to be so way off to say like, this shit is going to work. You know what? Let's target people who have cancer in their family and just tell them that this is the way out.
Yeah. And, but the thing about all of this is it only takes like 2 dumbasses to put up that ad nowadays, you know? You don't need a boardroom of people who do a quality assurance testing on everything. You don't have a chain of command. It can just be a guy who made a website and a guy who's going to market it. And if they're both specifically brain rotted enough, they will put this ad up.
Oh my God, it's insane. And you know what's worse? That they're advertising networks that say, yep, this sounds good. Approved.
There's not even an approval system. It just goes through a machine. The machine's like, I see nothing wrong with this.
Yeah, I was like, people, cancer, yes, you can win.
Speaking of machines, there's, did you know about the Boogaloo Boys?
No, what is it?
Okay, the Boogaloo Boys were like edgy, ironic, sort of group of people who want to overthrow the government.
Sure. Okay.
The name originated from like, do you know what like Boogaloo as a?
No, I have no idea what you mean.
So there was this is a rabbit hole. We're going down, okay? So bear with me. So there's this movie called Taken to Electric Boogaloo, Break-In to Electric Boogaloo. And people just thought, what the hell is a Boogaloo? And it became a sort of meme, you know? A sequel to anything would just be how they would just attach Electric Boogaloo to it.
Okay.
So on 4chan, a bunch of people decided there should be a second civil war, and they called themselves the Boogaloo Boys.
Of course, a 4chan thing.
Now you see.
Yeah. No, it starts to make sense.
Okay. So these guys started putting ads for like this Boogaloo movement, you know?
Okay.
And on Facebook, they got like a huge sort of fight the state ads, and they put clips of violent clips from action movies to make themselves look cool. And Facebook was greenlighting this for the longest time. And then like someone of the government was like, hey, this is basically a terrorist group that's, you know, promoting itself on your platform. And the Facebook just went, whoopsie.
It's like 4chan becoming real. I remember there was a thread on 4chan where they said we have to make to a CNN news or something like that, or to be mentioned. So they were just creating these false conspiracy theories and news that ended up in the real news. So that was I love when 4chan unites. This is another example of like this like unconventional way of like marketing things, and how technology sometimes are like, oh, money is coming in. There's one thing on Google. I've just reminded me about this like underground, completely like scam alert situation. Google has an advertising account that is promoting stuff like that, like does your wife have cancer? Win for treatment. There's an account that has over like 10 million in advertising spend a year. Can you imagine? And Google knows that, and people reported that to Google. They do nothing. They just like, oh no, this looks okay, but it's not okay. Like they cannot block it for some reason.
I've gotten such worse stuff. Like sometimes you see ads for like really inappropriate like sexual stuff, for example, and you're just like, that doesn't look right. And you try to report it to Google, and they give you back nothing.
Of course they don't, but it's just ridiculous. And what pisses me off, that even though we do marketing at Promoguy, but we never like, it helps people to like, we promote clients that have like some sort of treatments or products that actually are like legit, right? Yeah. They do help. People click, people convert, people get what they want. But I never like click on an ad myself. Like when I see an ad, I'm like, I have no idea how I ended up seeing this. I'm not going to click on this shit.
That's the weird thing though. Like I do sometimes click on an ad, but it's usually if I've been searching for something on Google and then I get an ad for it later from like their remarketing program or whatever.
Yeah. But I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay if it's a product that I was searching for.
That I'm usually fine with.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So, but then the question is as well, then why would some companies like that, for example, does your wife has cancer? Why do you go underground, right? So there has to be some sort of balance of when do you decide that, the normie way is not the way.
Yeah.
So product restrictions.
Yeah, there's certain types of products that cannot be advertised. And there's some that I'm not against. For example, I used to get ads for psilocybin like packs. So it would be like, here's a microdose pack of mushrooms, basically. And you can't usually advertise that anywhere else, but I'm not against that. Societally, it's neutral, that kind of thing.
Yeah, when the drugs are becoming medicine and the medicine is actually a bad drug. But I've seen an ad that was promoting this. We live in the Netherlands, so that's, I guess, why we get all this weird stuff promoted to us. There was a box that said, "This is your tea." A tea box or something like that, and then they basically show like, hey, this is how you put tea into a joint, this is how you get rid of the bad tea, this is
tea rolling station.
Yeah, tea rolling station. I'm like, oh, I mean, there was tea, but what I saw at first, because I don't smoke and I don't understand why I'm seeing this, because I do drink tea, but I'm like, I've never used this for a tea, and I'm like, oh, that's what it is. So it took me a while, but that's how they get over it.
Advertised a glass meth pipe. What? As a tobacco pipe. I'm like, wait, what?
This is not how you use it. This is not practical advice. Yeah, but basically, so now we're kind of talking about the product restrictions, right? So like, they cannot advertise these products, so they have to find a way to kind of go around these advertising restrictions through platforms, because there are no people checking this, right? It's now computers, AI, visual, some sort of...
There's also we talked earlier about how activist groups use graffiti and stuff like that. Like the internet version of that is, do you know about the Four Thieves Vinegar Collective?
No, what is that?
I'm a huge fan of these guys.
Tell me, what is
like an anarchist group that makes that just helps create either medicine or technologies that you need that are overly expensive or banned for certain people.
Isn't it in India? No. Okay.
No.
Because I've seen there was a guy in India who did that as well. Okay, carry on.
World, but yeah. They make like all these. They do have some advertising initiatives sometimes. I see them like posting on social media. Like it's not advertising per se, but it's like they promote themselves.
Yeah.
And they'll teach you how to like make this medicine that got banned, so it will be cheaper for you or something like that. And they'll teach you like all these 3D printing techniques for that's the first time I ever heard of them. They showed up in like a 3D printing article, and it was like, oh, here's some stuff that you can make at home by yourself. So they have to use underground advertising like that, because they're kind of like a small group that doesn't have a big, that doesn't have a gigantic budget. And they're doing something which is legal, but also gray area, but also might be copyright infringement.
Yeah, but they're like disturbing technologies, or like disturbing the industry type of situation.
Yeah. So they kind of have to.
Yeah, that's true. But also, as you said, budget limitations is actually the other like reason why you go underground. But people have to care. For example, I'm thinking about like nightclubs sometimes. It's like, oh, it's a secret nightclub. You can get there only by invitation.
Yeah.
And if it's actually a very cool place, people start inviting like influencers or via or a friend, or you have to like know the secret password word that only is like spread during a party for the next party. So like that's really the real underground way. When you don't have a lot of money, you have a cool place. You cannot advertise it for whatever reasons. If it's some sort of crazy party, let's say that you don't know what's going to happen there. So yeah, and also underground solves the targeting issue in this specific example, because if like show me your 5 friends, I'll tell you who you are, and if you like partying, that means maybe I like partying, and therefore you will invite me like by the word of mouth and creating a buzz.
Also, you can just get the influencers there. And you can promise them a slice of the nightlife that you usually offer, instead of, which will cost you a lot less than paying for a full-scale ad or getting a billboard or something like that.
For example, yeah, but this is like why you would go underground, right? Because again, product restrictions, some sort of budget limitations, maybe targeting challenges as well.
Yeah.
It's like such a unique group that you have to go on 4chan to figure it out, or like building some sort of cult following. That's another one. So like creating, for example, exclusivity or like a rebellion, right? So you have these guys that you just mentioned who create products that are a little bit rebellious against the corporations.
Yeah.
That's your underground, per definition, marketing.
Yeah, in that case, you'd have to.
Yes, I understand. But
typical advertising would, in the sense that like typical advertising would actually be a detriment to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you wouldn't come off as quite as underground and you'd come off as a bit corporate when you're trying to be anti-corporate. So it's a useful rhetorical tool to be underground then as well.
Yeah.
Aside from, all the other benefits.
Yeah, but there are also risks, right? So when you go underground marketing, you have risks. Okay, if it's online, you get banned.
Yeah.
Oh no, my account got banned. Create a new one, whatever. You have websites for everyone who's on the darknet. Hello. Here's the hack. You can always buy a Facebook likes, Instagram followers, YouTube views. You can buy accounts that cost like $2 with verified. You can buy advertising accounts for like $100 with like a 10,000 on it, and then you spend it all, and then you throw it away, and you do it again. There's a bunch. Russia, Turkey are the biggest providers. Indonesia as well.
Mm.
So the risks online of being banned is okay. Like I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But then you have real life risks of underground marketing. If you do a graffiti, you get arrested, right?
Yeah.
If you put your brand name there.
But now it's like, this is another thing that I wanted to raise, that like what used to be underground usually gets subsumed by the culture. And now like Panera brand or something will hire like a street team to do a graffiti as like a professional advertisement. And what used to be like edgy and countercultural is now no longer that.
Oh, look, we're so edgy. Oh, I have an example for that actually from like history. So during the Prohibition era, the underground marketing was speakeasies.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So now you're like, buy a ticket for speakeasy, and we advertise on Facebook, right? Or so also literature distribution back in the days, right? So it was very underground and special, like a book club for geeks that read about, I don't know, stars. And then it became astrology, and everyone's interested. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it started as like an underground club of some believers.
Yeah.
Not talking about conspiracy theories like flat earth and stuff like that, but specifically like a literature club. In modern era, you have, again, as you said, the street art campaigns, viral marketing movies and games, or like advertising yourself in a game as a secret menu in a restaurant. For example, if you have to come into a restaurant and say like a special password, and they're like, oh wow, now you can get our cheeseburger that no one can get. So something like that. So that's where, again, I think you have to use it in a nice way. This underground tactics that are legal. So you have to, basically do the legal way, because sometimes the risks are not worth it. Sometimes it is, obviously, if you want to advertise because to your half-dying wife. I think if your morals are okay with that, you can take the risk and buy another account. But in real life, not really.
So my last point of information was going to be about a product that is widely advertised, but it's also advertised like it's underground, even though it's not.
What is it?
Alcohol.
Fair.
It's like it really is, because there's certain countries have such strict laws about what you can and cannot advertise. So I have two examples. So Heineken will have these gigantic display ads, or these gigantic campaigns where they have like basically hijack a football match. Like have people running around with Heineken t-shirts and like freaking doing these crowd stunts, and none of that has anything to do with Heineken as an alcohol or a product. Mm-hmm. But they want you to be sort of associating the brand, because they're not allowed to directly market drinking as a thing. And the other example is when you look at like a lot of football matches, you see Heineken 0% advertised, but not the alcoholic one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
that's a way of skirting around the rules. But even though like this is one of the biggest brands in the world, they don't need to underground market, but it makes their life easier to.
I can bring two examples.
Go for it.
Red Bull is a great example of lifestyle marketing. You never see anyone drinking Red Bull. You always see a logo and a guy jumping with out of a plane.
Out of space.
Yeah, for example. Or some cool backflips or tricks or BMX or motorcycles, whatever. So like this very cool adrenaline stuff.
As far back as Pakistan, about like 15 years ago, I'd say, they were having events where like a BMX champion would be doing stunts and Red Bull would advertise itself there. And in Pakistan, that sort of thing really does work because we're really much more of a soda sort of culture than we are alcohol for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of stunt where it's like extreme and blah, 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 and this and this, you can like, and the way Red Bull generally markets itself is like, oh, you can like get so energized from this. It's like you're high. For like Muslim people who can't drink alcohol and don't want to still be like rebellious, but still like within their Islamic values, that stuff works so well.
But that's a great example. The other is the complete opposite of that, is that because I did work with the beer brands, too, actually, beer and then was champagne. The beer brands before a meeting always says, hello, we are against alcohol and it's bad for your health. We have this $1 million budget. Can you help us to make people drink? I'm like, well, why did you say that first part then? Come on. Like this, I know legally, not financial advice, right?
Yeah. There's like irony to all of it.
Yes.
So they're like those gambling ads that I was talking about. They'll always have the number for gambling addiction at the end.
Yeah. It's sad.
It's sort of like hitting someone with a car and then being like, here's the number. A wheelchair company.
So creating clients. Maybe I owned it. And the other part was there was a champagne brand, and they basically said they went the underground exclusivity route for marketing, and they said we're not going to advertise on any social media, no nothing. It's only going to be at like high exclusive events, so like very expensive cars. So like if an event has a product or that is over like 100K, we're there. They're like Chanel. It has to be with BMW. It has to be with like MMA sponsorships and fighting. It has to be somewhere in the mountains on the ski resort in Italy. So like they're like, we're gonna be only offline, no online, because we are so exclusive. And it's garbage. It's not that good anyway. So I'm like, yeah, great. But it's like, again, this live
marketing
promotion
works there.
It does. Yeah. But it's a promotion of as you said, exclusivity, underground. It's like
culture, all of that.
Yeah. So fortune vibes. So yeah, but then the last part I had is like, what's the future for underground advertising, right? So like how the technology is right now going to work with this underground thing, right? So like people using memes or viral challenges or influencer marketing or word of mouth.
Nowadays, though, it's like so much of advertising is an ad without you even realizing it.
That's true.
Like influencer marketing so often is like secretly an ad.
Of course.
They won't even mention it. They won't disclose it.
Obviously. But that's why I follow no influencers. Seriously.
I mean,
none of them.
I wouldn't even know how to.
The other one is evolving regulation. I think that's important for any type of advertising. If you advertise a stupid headphones Logitech, and then you don't allow me to fix them and you don't recommend me to fix them and you don't even tell me if I should throw them away, I think that the regulation has to evolve to avoid that kind of sucky thing, because you promote a thing and then you're not responsible for it, or you discontinue a supportable product after like a year. Yeah, go to hell. The other one is the future is evolving technologies as well, like metaverse. Remember, it was big, or advertising in video games. So GTA is a great example when you're driving down the city and you see a billboard within a game that advertise a real product.
Yeah.
So that type of placements, and those exist from like the 90s, I think, in the games.
Yeah, I just hope GTA doesn't do that, because their fake products are much funnier.
I agree. I think there's a charm to that, but if they're gonna start using real examples, I think that it's gonna suck.
Yeah, I mean, there was this entire thing where I think it was an MMA game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this off the cuff, so if I get my facts wrong, that's
no reference there.
Yeah, I'm just remembering a thing, which is like, I think it was an MMA or another sort of sports game. And they were having this big row where they were going to have frequent updates. So to change the ads that are in the background while you're playing the game.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I understand that.
That's an interesting one, but like, I hate updates. I just want to play the game. So imagine just every week, just for you have to download a 1 gigabyte file to play the game, and it's just the ads have changed. Nothing else is fixed.
Yeah,
That's the part that annoys me about it. I'm not opposed to any of the ads changing.
we have patched the visuals.
Yeah.
I have a few questions after all this long discussion. Just as a closure, imagine a company comes to you and says, "Hey, Raval, we need you to give us some sort of advice about running an underground campaign." What recommendation would you give?
I'd ask, what's the product and why does it have to be underground?
Whatever, doesn't matter. Why would you? Some products. Generalize it.
I mean, for example, we were talking about the speakeasies, for example. A company was like, we do events, but we want to keep it like, low key and we don't have that much of a budget. I'd be like, either get influencers in if you can, or if you want to really make it appeal to like, make it appeal to people, you could just have videos on social media that advertise the event as like, oh, look, it's like only a few people come here. It's a good place to chill. It's a good place to relax. Get out of your like offline world. Because recently I've read about a marketing research that was done, and they're like, oh, why don't Gen Z want to go outside? And the problem is they don't know where to go. They don't have any like spaces that invite them. Like, there are places that they really do want to socialize in person. It's not that they're all just nerds that want to sit in front of their computers all the time. There are some of those, but they have no public spaces. So I think any sort of underground advertising thing would be like, hey, this is what you're usually doing. How about you do this for a change? You're ready for a life change.
So like a reason to get out of the house. I've read somewhere in US, like malls are shutting down. There are no playgrounds. People live far away. You have to spend money if you go outside because there's literally nothing to do for free, like hikes maybe and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
being a teenager now especially sucks, I think.
I agree.
There's like I think they're defunding all the parks and getting rid of any place you could usually hang out. And all you have to look forward to is an internet full of advertising on stuff you can't spend money on.
Even though when I was a teenager, I was just like spending time online. I was like gaming nonstop. Sometimes I wouldn't sleep for 2 days, man, just to like, I have a raid. I have to like finish this during the weekend. I go to school on Monday morning. So I would, as a teenager, I would not go out for like 6 years outside. I think I would just stink and just game. And that's all I did.
I mean, I did all of those things, but everybody used to be in my house. The house was like close to the school.
Fair enough.
So whether I wanted it or not, somebody would show up in my place, no matter when. It just used to happen like that.
Yeah. Another question I have. So do you think that this underground movement of marketing is going to go up or down? Like, is it going to be more popular, or do you think it's going to be less common in the future?
I think they're going to get rid of a lot of the rules. That just seems the direction Silicon Valley and all these different places are headed, all of the owners of our digital spaces. They want to get rid of a lot of these rules so they can advertise more things and broader things. Like you see ads for gambling casinos and Polymarket and all these sort of places, even more. So it's going to decrease because of that. Because the more you open up the space, the less underground there is. And the more you close up the space, the bigger the underground has to get by necessity.
But isn't it about regulation then, right? So if the advertising, whatever rules are going to get more strict.
If you're plainly allowed to advertise drugs, there's not going to be an underground advertising market for it.
Fair enough.
You're just going to lose that entire side of it. And it won't be underground. It'll feel underground maybe, because they want it to.
Mm-hmm. So do you think then, what's the line? Like, when would you say like, hey, you have crossed the line from being like surface level to underground? Is it about ethics? Is it about some sort of morality?
I think it's like, you know it when you see it, you know?
Tell me, explain.
For me, we discussed all these examples, and what they have in common is they're either bending the rules without breaking them, or they're advertising something in a way that is socially would be otherwise boundary pushing.
So rules are still, if the rules change, then they'll have to bend it more, or you have to
erase the boundaries, then the underground disappears, was my point.
Okay, fair.
You know? You need boundaries for there to be something like this is getting slightly off topic, but somebody mentioned that for there to be counterculture, the culture has to be a bit less accepting of certain things. And one of the things is the reason we have such a weird counterculture right now is that culture is very accepting. Our counterculture is obviously people getting intentionally stupid to rebel against rationality, like being a flat earther or something like that. That's one part of it. Yeah.
So we have to be more ridiculous so that we feel like a counterculture, even though it makes me more stupid.
So the fringes will get weirder if the boundaries are erased. You know, they'll always be like boundaries you can't push because everybody has a limit. But I think when it comes to like underground advertising, it should be used for only the products that need that.
What a fair way to end this.
Yeah, but I also just think like rules are good because they produce a counterculture.
It's also true, specifically for marketing.
I don't know. I guess that's all thoughts I've exhausted. Underground marketing. I hope somebody got something out of this and it wasn't too smoky, because like it's a topic that's very hard to pin down and get specifics on, and it feels like it goes all over the place.
But also because every day things change, right? As you said, underground has many definitions. There are many ways of doing it. Businesses try to do it.
So much of it is about vibes.
Exactly. It's about the vibes. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day. If you have anything to say, any comments, please comment or reach out, follow. And yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Have a nice one.